What is up, everybody? Once again, we are here, an Survivor 37 Port Royal exit interview with our sixth placer voted out about an hour, a little over an hour ago. Benji. Benji, how are you feeling?
You should have seen the cry fest about a half an hour ago. A little distraught. I really, really wanted it. This is one of the first games I actually had some sort of confidence that I can make it to finale. So it's definitely a blow to my heart. I wanted to keep playing as long as I could until I just couldn't anymore, but I was hoping
Well,
that
to
would
your
mean that I
credit,
last a little
quickly,
longer.
I just want to interrupt you quickly because you said you were hoping to make it to finale. So, what I mean, if this were an edited Survivor season, if I was editing this into a little YouTube series, you would have made the final episode, which is the finale. You just fell short of the final tribal council. So, give yourself some credit that you made the last episode. So, where do you think it all went wrong, Benji?
It went wrong the day I left. I knew there was very high potential for everyone to make relationship while I was gone, which is why I placed such an urgency on coming back into the fold and figuring out where to go from there. And there in the back of my head, I was thinking you either have to win out or make sure that your connections are strong enough, and couldn't do either.
Um, I know it's fresh. Is there anybody specifically that you blame for your demise at all? I know you don't have all the information, but from your perception, like if you ha had to pinpoint one person, who is it, if anybody?
Mm, I don't know. I think we came in as individuals, as you always like to pinpoint out. I think the only person to blame would be myself. I had to trust a lot of the game decisions that I was making from here on out were going to benefit me. I There are so many things that I could have done that I ended up not having enough time to or not doing. Um, I could have done so many other things with being able to reach out more with the opposite side. Maybe they saw something in me to benefit. I did to some, but not to all. But I think, yeah, ultimately, there's no one else to blame for me being here except myself. If I had gone any harder, or if people were to have agreed with my said perception, maybe I would still be in there.
All right, so I want to move away from tonight for a little bit. Maybe we'll touch up on it towards the end of this, but I know today was a rough night, but let's like revisit some maybe hopefully like good things to reflect on from the experience. Like day one, were you around during the cast reveal? I know you were definitely on the night one Zoom call when everybody was being introduced and the tribes and the twist and the roles and the pirate theme. And then you were labeled captain. So if you can remember, bring me back to that time. Yeah.
Holy shit, was I nervous. Um, Again, first Survivor game that I've ever played, new territory. Wasn't sure what the fuck was going on, but I mean, hey, par for the course. Um, I remember being excited to see everybody there, but to also kind of formulate who from those Meet Me videos did I want originally on my team. And then just being able to, from there, just start into work mode. The minute you get in is the minute you start playing. So there wasn't a time where my brain wasn't turned off to constantly start thinking ahead for me now because but I was also excited to meet my crew. I'm very much you see how loyal I am, especially with this game, and that never really wavered. But yeah, those are some of my first pinpoints there that I can remember.
early on you got yourself into an alliance with Missy, or at least a group chat with Missy, Anthony, Nay, and yourself.
Indeed.
Why the fuck did you tell Bobby that
I did.
exact thing?
So
Like,
I
why
trusted.
on
Oh
you were
my
like in a chat,
God.
you were like in a chat on day 1 or 2, and then by day 2.5, you were telling Bobby.
Oh
I've
my
been waiting
God.
to
Because
ask you this. I've been waiting
I
to
did
ask you this.
not trust it for a fucking second. Because I was literally like, oh, I'll think about it. And then homeboy made the decision for me. I was like,
So was this Anthony?
yes. And I'm like, why?
So was it?
You-
So you did you tell Bobby because you trusted him in that moment? Was it not a thought out
Yeah,
decision?
like
Like was it just like
Bobby.
loose
Oh
lip
no,
sync?
it was decently thought out just because I know they didn't like each other from the jump. And I was working closer with Bobby at the time than I was Anthony. Anthony was a little harder to reach out to. Um, so I figured that would build up rapport with Bobby. And then as long as they were looking out for each other, they weren't going to look out after me. I was trying to potentially get them to reconcile maybe at the last minute, but it didn't work. Um,
Was
because
there any
uh,
inkling that
mm,
that whole thing was getting exposed to the entire tribe? Like, did you know at all, or were like when Anthony was voted out, were you literally completely shooketh?
I knew it was a possibility. I was a little shooketh because I was like, oh, if everyone goes to the status quo, it's fucking Survivor. No one does that shit. Um, I was a little shooketh, but I mean, at the end of the day, you can't. Uh, did it not go the way I wanted to go? Yeah, no. Did I still roll with the punches? Absolutely. Just the first, as Rachel is now blessedly done at the top 5, and I'm so proud of her. That very first challenge does not define where you go at all.
Is that like a lesson learned, or at least even though you like necessarily wasn't your main call, your decision, but essentially that's why Rachel's name was up on the block was challenge performance, I guess. So is
Yeah.
that like a lesson learned, or that like yeah, what you kind of just said that challenge performance in the first challenge doesn't dictate. Are you a Survivor fan? Like, have you seen the seasons?
You're gonna kill me. No.
No. Okay. Well, okay, no, I just want to, because I'm going to give a reference. I just didn't want to make sure if you're going to
Okay.
follow. So there was this one season. I'm not going to say the name, but like the dude flopped it first challenge, like completely
Mhm,
bombed it. He became a target. He survived, and then he went on to win the game. So
mhm.
sort of the example you were pretty much just explaining. Um,
We'll see.
yeah, Blackbeard losing and losing and losing. Do you think it was the tone that was set with the Anthony vote? Because from a viewer's perspective, Anthony was a valuable member. Just in terms of strength and maybe perceived strength, I'll rephrase that. But maybe obviously he was voted out because of social dynamics, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. But do you think, voting somebody off based off of that, not that you had anything to do with it, right? Not saying that you were responsible for this because you didn't have anything to do with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that set the tone for Blackbeard's shortcomings?
Mm, not necessarily. As Rachel has again shown, one challenge could not mean shit. He could easily have done shit in the other ones. So, I mean, clearly we'll never know, but I think it definitely didn't set us up for any of the downfalls. We ended up doing that our fucking selves. But
What was it? What was it about Blackbeard? What the hell was
don't
wrong?
know, because y'all saw how hungry we were, how fiery we were, how much we wanted it. Literally, it's as I was mentioning, every time we just fell short. Everyone else was just better. There wasn't anyone to blame when it came to like our morale, our effort. the amount of time that we put in, we busted our ass and it still wasn't enough. And sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. There's not much you can do about it.
So, loss after loss after loss. It's pretty much the story of Blackbeard, pretty much your story pre-merge. But with the captain position, I feel like you made the most of it, right? You made good connections, so you were never in direct jeopardy of getting voted out because you needed the majority, right? Or I mean, not the majority, unanimous. Um, then we get to Stormy Waters, the earthquake. Did you assume it was a merge right away? Did it take a little bit for you to figure out, oh shit, is this a merge? Question mark.
It it took me a minute because I was like, oh, we made merge, and I was like fully believing, and then I was like, no, because I noticed very little things like our names were not changed out of black and yellow, like very small, subtle details that would have made the difference if we actually did. So think by like maybe the first after the first day or two after the shock itself came down, not just me, but everyone else realized, oh, okay, yeah, something's afoot.
Okay. Then the whole hurricane happened. You won the saver challenge, which gave you your spot at merge. And although celebrating the merge, great, yes, I made it. Based on just the story of the game thus far, entering the merge as a Blackbeard member, was it daunting for you? Was it like, okay, shit, how are we gonna do this, guys?
Yes, of course. I mean, we're clearly fucking outnumbered. If they wanted to steamroll us, they very well could. But I think when the rover was used with JB, that kind of lent me a little bit of leniency because I was able to talk with everybody and communicate with everybody. I had a step into the door that my fellow remaining Blackbeards did not have, and I wanted to continue to use this connections to not only keep us safe because I just trusted Blackbeard as a whole with the four that were remaining, but to also pinpoint other people who I felt would be stronger and harder to beat toward the end that everyone had a general consensus of. If we all have a common enemy, they're not going to look at me or anybody else. It's not necessarily going to be looking at numbers. It was really an integrated game. It was just the way that it crumbled. Everyone saw common enemies on the people who had the majority of the people coming in.
What do you think it was specifically? Any specifics about maybe something that you did or that Blackbeard did that was able to get those calicos out back to back to back to back?
I think again, it was that communication. My social game is something that clearly I really led with and wanted to make sure that I stabilized those. But I think Calico also did a very nice job of certain individuals shooting themselves in the foot, like with Velian. Um, I was consistently getting that is running around talking shit. I heard other things in the tribal and what happened with Alex and his demise. So it wasn't as like tight knit tight knit of a force as I thought going in there, and I wanted to make sure that the people I were with, like I automatically trusted Bree and Jazz. We were both captains, so we connected on that level. Romeo, I was hoping would get there, but did not. But started putting my trust and planting seeds in the areas I felt that were needed. That way, coming in there, even though I didn't feel 100% safe, I would at least feel somewhat comfortable that someone wasn't bullshitting me 100% the entire time.
Now, we're in mid merge, the jury starts forming. Was there an obvious change in gameplay, the feeling around camp, the stakes raising?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of people not knowing what to do when Zach bullshitted me, Valiant bullshitted me. A lot of people wanted the two knowing targets out with like JB and Julie, I started seeing some pairs forming like Zach and Tyusha. If they are, I know you can't tell me until the end, we'll figure all that out. But the more that they seemed like they were disinterested in each other, the more I felt like they were working together because that easily could be a cover to work between one another without anyone noticing, or at least it being too late to do anything about it. Nolita and Rachel was one that I was kind of surprised by because, I mean, it would make sense for why Nolita knew a lot of the things she knew about if she already had intel, and with her not speaking at least directly to any of the questions that I had, same with Zach, and it being harder for them to get any information out of them. It was the reason why I kind of looked at them the most because if I can't get to them, they have some sort of information to keep them safe, along with being a well-rounded competitive threat, even if they win or not. They were a detriment to my game moving forward. I saw that and I knew that if I did not get them out, I wouldn't win regardless if I was in the final or not.
A few more questions, Benji. Any regrets?
Um, I'm happy to say no. I'm really happy to say no.
Love that. Love that.
I did everything I could, and although I didn't go out screaming and punching and swinging like I thought I would, I just had that feeling in my gut that it was going to be me, and regardless of what I said, it wouldn't have been any different than what I had already spoken to prior to tribal. So if it was my time to go, then it was my time to go. I did everything that I could, and I'm glad they're fucking scared of me. I am so fucking glad. Um, it just proves to me that at least someone recognizes my game.
Um, what are you going to take away from this experience?
Ah, so much. I'm definitely a lot stronger than I thought I was. I did not have to compromise who I was because every single one of those people in there left, and who have left, minus a few people who pissed me off with their actions outside of here. I still have nothing but love for. Every connection I had when we were not talking about game was truly genuine. I just care about people that much. It's something that I always reiterate, even though it's a long ass way to look at life. After this game, we all go back to what we were doing. And I want to continue to have those connections and respect the people that are behind the gameplay, and just to ultimately culminate in what these games and this community is meant for. So whenever I play, I will always stand by that.
Love that, Benji. Love to hear it. Okay, this is a little bit different. I don't want you to get confused as who you want to win. Who has the most winners equity? Who is getting the winners edit?
Listen, if Tyusha is in that final, she is winning hands down. Not a single vote cast for her. She has skillfully played. She's got herself out of any sticky situation. I've worked with her firsthand. That girl has a lot going for her. If she makes it, I'm cheering for her the loudest and voting for her to win because she absolutely fucking deserves it.
Any advice for a future iSurvivor player? New next season is a whole new cast. What's your words of advice to somebody who's lived and breathed this experience?
Go with your gut. Always listen to yourself. And even faith without work is dead. You could put your trust into everything that there is, but if you don't go out and work for it, it's not going to mean a damn thing. Fight for yourself. Go with your gut. Most importantly, have fun and cherish the people that are around you.
And my last question is, I'm not saying tomorrow or a month from now or even a year from now, if Rocky slides up in your DMs and he's like, "Hey Benji, want to give it another shot? Would you play again?"
Every time. Every time you ask me, I will be back. You don't even have to worry about that. This game is by far one of the best games I've ever played. So from production to how well ran it is to the people that I've gotten to meet and the people I'm going to meet afterward. I can't wait for that. But there's something about this community that you've created, Sandy, that is so special, and I can tell. I am truly, truly honored. Every time I say it, I mean it, that I got the chance to play and I get the chance to be a part of whatever is here. It's truly amazing.
Love you, Benji.
Love
Like I
you
said
too.
at Tribal, you've been a star. Love that you got the opportunity. Love that you took Rocky's message on Twitter seriously and that you made it here. It's been a pleasure. And I
Always.
hope to see you soon, my friend.
Always.